I heard somebody say a while back, I don't know who it was, somebody said, when you know how mean you can be, it's easy to be nice, or it was something like that, you know? It's kind of humbling, just the whole fighting experience and traveling around and beating people up and getting beat up. So you kind of find out you're human, you know, and everybody knows that, but you know what I mean? Just kind of, like you said, get humbled, and you've humbled other people and been in some pretty crazy positions and been in front of large audiences and been in some good fights. You know a lot about yourself after getting in some really tough fights where you have to dig deep, you know? So I think that's what it is. Around the time I started really looking into training in mixed martial arts was a fight that comes to mind is Forrest Griffin and Stephan Bonnar for the Ultimate Fighter. You know, after seeing that fight and seeing those guys bleed and just try to beat each other up, you know, no quitting either one of them, I knew I watched the fight and I said to myself, you know, I can do this. I have that in me. I want to do this. I don't even know how old I was when I fought my first pro fight, maybe 19 or 20. But the first time I had a real payday was in the UFC. First time I made money and looked at the check and deposited it and looked at my wife and said, you know, I can make a living doing this for real. You know, it's not just a hobby. This is something that can put you through school and put our kids through school in the future. I got into MMA by just doing fighting, you know, I've been a fighter all my life. I you know, got in lots of trouble fighting when I was younger. Used to wrestle when I was a little bit younger, you know, before high school. And started doing kickboxing and judo and jiu-jitsu, and it just kind of snowballed and got bigger and started putting them all together and fought an amateur fight here. Then just kept fighting amateur fights, turned pro, and you know, I just fell in love with the sport really.
First, he has the heart of a fighter, has a work ethic, great mentality to fight, and Dustin, beyond that, I think he's tailor-made to be a champion. You know, Taylor really has all the attributes to be a champion. Physical, mental, and the work ethic. You know, he's not gonna break for anything. This kid knows where he's going, he's very focused. He got everything to be a champion.
1, 2, 3, execution!
I came to American Top Team because I want to be the best fighter in the world, and I feel like I have to surround myself with those kind of guys, you know, some of the best fighters in the world. And back home where I was in Louisiana, I had good guys, but a lot of those guys were just like hobby fighters doing it because they enjoyed it. And a lot of jiu-jitsu guys, you know, I needed to be around hungry fighters beating each other up every day, you know, and that's when I first started fighting, that's kind of where I was at in the gym with a bunch of guys like that. Yeah, so I came out here to see how I liked it, and man, it's great. You know, Louisiana, that kind of like seeing guys my age out there drinking and partying and hunting and fishing and stuff, so, you know, I don't miss it that much. I miss my family more than anything. You know, my little brother's there, my mom's there. Before I started making money fighting, and even while I was a pro, for the beginning of my pro career, I drove a delivery truck for a buildings distribution company and went on job sites and delivered doors, windows, picked them up, drove them all over Louisiana. I can't go back and work for somebody else. I just can't. You know, I've seen the light. I've been to the other side where I work for myself, so that'd be tough to do. I mean, if I had to, I'm a man, I'd have to pay my bills, but you know, I'm gonna keep winning these fights.
Dustin is one of those guys that, I don't know, but this kid seems like so chill and so mature for his age. I think he's 25, no, 23. He's very young. He has lessons, but he seems like internally he knows everything. He is one of those guys that, you know, you admire him right away because it's not everybody who can learn from pressure. Some guys wants to live in that little crystal ball that you're never gonna get pressure, nobody's never gonna beat you, and you're always gonna be the big fish in a small pot. It's not him. This kid learned under the pressure.
Yeah, you know, the pressure definitely cripples people. Some guys rise up above it and perform. Some guys, you know, they're warriors and heroes in the gym, and then time comes up to translate it into the actual ring when it matters and they can't do it. You know, it's much more than a fight. People say I've been in fights. I know what it feels like to fight. I can fight, but you don't know what it's like whenever your job's on the line, your bills are on the line. You know, at first when I started fighting amateur, my mom and my dad were both kind of like, you know, what are you doing? You know, you're gonna get beat up for free. But man, they're super supportive now. You know, they both, just like my wife, think I'm the best, and you know, can't wait to tell the next person that they're my parent. You know, so my wife comes to my fights when she can make it. You know, some are in Canada or somewhere, you know, like London coming up. You know, that's gonna be tough with her in nursing school and stuff. So we kind of work around her schedule, but she's probably been to, you know, 90% of my fights. I had a couple rough fights where I've been busted up and stuff, and I'm sure she doesn't, you know, she's not too pumped up in the crowd watching that, but she's pretty hardcore chick, man. We order pay-per-views and watch them together, and she, you know, she's pretty hardcore.
You know, the difference about the big teams is the big structure. Wherever and whenever you come to train, you're gonna have training partners and coaches. You come to the gym, you're gonna learn something. That's the biggest difference in between the bigger gyms and the smaller gyms. It's not just the schedule, but it's not even quality of a training, it's the quantity.
Besides being the champ in fighting, I want to be remembered. You know, I want to be like a guy people put in old put in DVDs and rewatch him fight and show their friends. You know, I want to have a legacy. I want to be like a Fedor, not just win fights and a guy who was in the UFC for a while and did well. You know, I want to be a guy that's a staple in mixed martial arts. When you start, you know, people have conversations about mixed martial arts, my name is going to be brought up. That's what I want. I want to leave behind a legacy with fighting. It's a lifestyle. It's not just a job or a hobby. This is what I do every day. You know, I have to live my life this way to be successful at fighting. So it's everything, man. Everything about fighting is what it is.